This is the brief on session 19. So the adventurers are pretty desperate right now. They need to retrieve the body of their fallen cleric Traxidor from the town of Vallaki. But, the town's controlled by the villainous Lady Fiona Wachter, think local tyrant, who's also a cleric of the archdevil Asmodeus. The goal? Resurrection. But getting there means stealth, violence, and maybe walking right into a deadly supernatural trap. First, the resurrection plan comes together. After learning Traxidor was executed and his body's been put on display, grim, the party, that's Urihorn, Radley, and Daermon, decide they must get him back. Their hope rests on this figure, the abbot of St. Markovia, who they recently discovered is actually a celestial being, maybe powerful enough, they hope, to raise the dead. Second, the retrieval attempt? Yeah, it turns into a brutal ambush. It's past curfew, super dangerous, but they get help from their wereraven allies, the Martikovs. So Daermon and Radley manage to trick 4 guards by pretending to be drunk. The fight that follows is quick and lethal. One guard gets stabbed, another's battered down hard. The last 2 try to make a run for it, but Urihorn's arrows and Radley's firebolts stop them cold. One guard even bursts into flames. Pretty intense. Finally, just as they grabbed a body, victory turns sour, like really fast. As Radley cuts Traxidor down, an illusion of Lady Wachter appears. Looks real, but isn't, and summons actual devils from the 9 hells. We're talking a big, scary, barbed devil and these awful flying, spiny devils. And here's the bad news. Radley finds out his fire magic, totally useless against these things. He gets hit by hellfire, grabs the corpse, which is literally getting jabbed by devil spines as he carries it, and just runs for it. Urihorn joins the retreat, trying to heal Radley as they flee towards the Blue Water Inn, with devils right behind them. They got the body back, yeah. But escaping devils from the 9 hells, that's their immediate life-or-death challenge now.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are really getting into something heavy, a narrative arc that honestly represents a catastrophic, almost fundamental shift in the campaign we're following. We're plunging headfirst into session 19. This is where the adventurers, well, they stopped facing just the mundane tyranny of a small town.
Yeah, it gets worse, much worse.
And discovered their enemy has literal ties to the 9 hells.
Yeah.
This is where the stakes stop being, political intrigue and just become infernal.
That's a perfect way to put it. Our source material details this spectacular failure, a rescue mission, just completely gone sideways.
Right.
And it's immediately followed by this desperate, high-risk retrieval caper, all in the hostile town of Vallaki. The environment here is just thick with, mold, fear.
And soon enough.
And soon brimstone, exactly.
So our party Urihorn, the Beastmaster Ranger, Radley, the Eldritch Knight, and Daermon, the Arcane Trickster Rogue, they're fugitives now. They've just fought the town guard, fought Lady Wachter's wardens, and they lost. Badly. Their companion, Traxidor the Cleric, was left behind.
Captured and, as we find out, executed. Their immediate situation is, it's basically untenable. Tactically, they've hit absolute rock bottom.
So our mission today, in this deep dive, is to follow their desperate plan. We're going to unpack 3 phases. First, there's the nerve-wracking bit of just hiding and recovery.
The immediate aftermath.
Second, the critical planning session with our allies, the Martikovs, who are absolutely essential here.
Couldn't do it without them.
And finally, the explosive ambush, which actually succeeds in its immediate goal.
It does, yeah, surprisingly.
But it culminates in this terrifying reveal that completely redefines who, or rather what, the enemy actually is.
It really shifts everything. What's fascinating here is how quickly the narrative just zooms past the standard fantasy tropes, the political plotting.
Right, like dealing with an oppressive burgomistress. That feels almost manageable in hindsight.
Exactly. We shift from that kind of problem to something far more ancient, deep, and honestly, cosmically terrifying. So the initial setting really hammers home the immediate danger and how far the adventurers have fallen. They're literally huddled in the cellar of this vacant, decrepit house.
Yeah.
This is where Dannika Martikov, their wereraven ally, basically stashed them to avoid instant capture right after their failed escape attempt.
I think we need to pause on describing this hiding spot because it sets such a perfect atmosphere of just dread and failure.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a safe house, not by any stretch. It's an absolute mess.
Like properly grim.
Yeah, cluttered with furniture draped in cobwebs, piles of old, maybe rotting clothing, moldering books, just general debris everywhere.
It really emphasizes how quickly these, pretty powerful adventurers were reduced to just cowering fugitives. surrounded by the junk of lives long gone.
And that neglect kind of mirrors their own immediate despair, right?
Totally. And that despair was probably compounded by their physical state, too.
Right.
Radley, especially.
Right. After hours of being unconscious, their first concern when they finally come to isn't even planning the next step. It's neutralizing the specific, very oppressive restraints they put on Radley.
And this detail is so crucial, isn't it? Because it says a lot about the enemy's intelligence network, or at least their methods.
Exactly. Radley wasn't just tied up with ropes or something simple.
Oh, no.
The authorities fitted him with heavy manacles, an iron mask,
An iron mask.
and a gag. These weren't just general restraints to stop him fighting back.
That gag feels very specific.
It was, specifically to prevent him from casting spells, verbal components, right?
So they knew, or suspected strongly.
It implies the town guard, or maybe Washer's people, knew they were dealing with some kind of spellcaster. Maybe even recognized the signs of an Eldritch Knight. They didn't just want him contained, they wanted him tactically neutralized.
Which forces the party, right then and there, to rely totally on Daermon's specific skill set.
Yep.
An Eldritch Knight like Radley is usually the armored frontliner, relying on strength and steel. But in that moment, completely helpless. They're wholly dependent on the finesse of the arcane trickster, Daermon. He had to use his skills not just picking locks, but doing it in the dark, under who knows how much pressure.
Probably shaking, I imagine.
Probably. To free Radley from that incredibly restrictive iron setup, it's a great little illustration of how every class role is just essential when things get this desperate.
Okay, so Daermon gets him free. What's the next immediate move?
Well, once freed, their first instinct is naturally light. They need to see. So Radley, reclaiming a tiny bit of his power, his identity, uses magic. He casts a light spell onto a small stone.
Simple enough magic, but
this simple act immediately highlights just how precarious their position is.
because any light is basically a beacon saying, here we are. Exactly. Visibility is a death sentence. They instantly realize that tiny bit of magical light has to be covered up, shielded somehow, even a faint glow filtering up through the floorboards or maybe through a grimy basement window.
Would instantly give them away to the search parties they know are patrolling outside.
Who are undoubtedly looking for any anomaly, any sign of life in supposedly vacant buildings.
It's that irony again, isn't it? Magic, their strength, is also a massive liability.
No, totally. The light might chase away the rats and spiders in the cellar, but the real danger, the human danger outside, that remains paramount. They're trapped, basically, waiting for nightfall, absolutely unable to risk the streets.
So they wait. And the tension must be building from just sitting there doing nothing.
Right. And Urihorn, the Beastmaster, he gets restless. Maybe after the ordeal, maybe just is nature. He uses the time to search the cellar.
Looking for anything useful. Weapons, food.
Probably. Finds nothing of value, apparently. But his searching stirs up this thick cloud of dust and mold again, just emphasizing the decay of this place. But more importantly, his poking around reveals a sealed trap door at the back of the cellar.
A possible way out. Or in.
Well, it shifts their focus. They manage to pry it open and climb up into the house above ground. They scout the rooms quickly.
What do they find?
Main floor is sparsely furnished, everything covered in shrouds. Confirms the place is truly vacant, but just as they're maybe trying to get their bearings,
No.
the outside world reminds them they're very much being hunted.
The near miss. Tell us about that.
A search party, sounds like it's led by a vigilant guard, passes right outside. They're being thorough, banging on doors, shouting, checking houses.
Standard procedure for a lockdown, I guess.
Yep. And they reach the house the adventurers are in. They rattle the front door, checking the lock, testing it.
And Radley's still holding the light stone.
He is. And this is where quick thinking saves them. Radley instantly claps his hands over the stone, just completely snuffing the visible light.
Wow. That close.
That quick reaction is absolutely the difference between survival and, well, immediate capture and probably execution right there.
It confirms everything Dannika warned them about. Being seen in town before dark.
Yeah.
Not an option. It's a death sentence.
Absolutely. So after that incredibly tense few moments, heartbeats pounding probably as the searchers move on down the street, the choice is obvious.
Back to the cellar.
Immediately. Retreat back to the perceived security of the decrepit cellar. Lie low. Confirms that for now, the only winning move is just to wait it out. Hashtag be the Martikov connection and the fatal news.
The narrative really emphasizes just how slowly that time passes. It must have felt like an eternity, just waiting in the dark and the damp.
Oh, absolutely agonizing. They don't dare move until the very small hours of the morning, when the streets are absolutely at their
I'll
quietest.
say they finally emerge.
Yeah, they come out from the bulkhead entrance to the cellar, probably navigating around the debris Dannika had left there for cover. And they make their way, quickly and stealthily, through the back streets.
Heading for the one place they trust.
The single point of relative safety they know. The Blue Water Inn.
And this is where that alliance with the Martikovs, the whole Brotherhood of the Feather connection, really pays off. Big time.
Immensely. They find both Dannika and Erwin Martikov waiting for them, in human form. The source notes the genuine relief on Dannika's face when they stumble in.
That must have felt good. For a second, at least.
For a second. Erwin immediately secures the door behind them, gets them inside properly, and they're given essentials. Cold meat, cheese, bread. A simple but desperately needed meal after everything they've been through.
But that moment of relief, it doesn't last, does it?
Not at all. It's shattered almost immediately. There's really no time for sentimentality here. Dannika, always pragmatic, just delivers the news. Crushing news.
Traxidor.
Traxidor is dead.
Yeah.
Executed by the burgomistress, Lady Wachter, shortly after their failed rescue attempt. They were too late.
Oh, that's brutal, especially after they risked everything to go back for him. And the detail about the body.
Yeah, that's key. His body wasn't just, disposed of quietly. It's been publicly hung in the streets.
Not just retribution, then. It's a statement.
It's a profound act of public desecration, designed to demoralize everyone, terrify the populace, and send a very clear message to any other potential troublemakers, like them.
So this moves the whole situation from just a tactical failure
to a moral imperative. They're exhausted, they're wounded, grieving, but they just cannot leave their friend's corpse hanging there like a public spectacle.
Right. So after maybe getting a little rest until late morning, the mission completely pivots, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, it's no longer a rescue. It's now this elaborate, incredibly high-risk retrieval caper, a body snatch.
And Daermon and Radley, they immediately fixate on one, frankly, audacious goal.
Yep. Getting Traxidor's body to the abbot at the Abbey of St. Markovia.
Why? What are they hoping for?
They need to find out if the abbot actually possesses the power to raise Traxidor from the dead. Resurrection.
Okay, so deciding to risk immediate recapture, certain death probably, just for a corpse, that requires some serious justification.
Oh, enormous justification. You have to imagine the Martikovs, even though they're supportive allies, must have been deeply skeptical of such a, frankly, suicidal plan.
Right, like you want to do what now?
Exactly. The justification lies entirely in their previous encounter with the abbot, in that memory.
Let's dig into that memory then, because like you said, it's the only thing driving this seemingly insane plan.
They recall for Urihorn, who maybe wasn't there for the key reveal, that the abbot isn't just some powerful local cleric. He had previously revealed himself
As a celestial being.
An angel.
An angel. During a past exchange involving their other slain companion, the paladin Surin Ironwood.
And that specific detail that he's a celestial is absolutely vital here, isn't it?
It's everything. In a domain of dread like Barovia, which is explicitly designed as a prison plane where hope is systematically crushed.
Yeah. The presence of a true celestial being is incredibly rare and potentially incredibly powerful. It suggests that the really high-level, difficult resurrection magic stuff that's typically way beyond the reach of mortal clerics might actually be possible, available via the abbot.
So it's the ultimate long shot, the ultimate risk-reward calculation.
Totally. They have this circumstantial evidence, this one encounter that suggests this abbot can do something genuinely miraculous, and if Traxidor, their dedicated cleric, their healer,
If he can be brought back.
the party is restored. Back to full strength, full effectiveness,
Yeah.
which they desperately need.
And there's that other connection too, isn't there? The original reason they were even in Vallaki.
Right, you have to connect those dots. The whole reason they came to Vallaki in the first place was to complete a mission for the abbot.
Finding a wedding dress, wasn't it?
Finding a specific wedding dress, it was a favor they were doing for him. Now they're essentially planning to turn up on his doorstep with a corpse and, well, collect on that cosmic debt, so to speak.
The risk involved is just immense, though. Stealing a body that's being publicly displayed as a warning, then having to somehow crash through a heavily defended town gate, that's basically an open declaration of war against the burgomistress.
It absolutely is. Yet, because the potential reward is the intervention of a celestial being, a genuine angel to resurrect their friend, They deem the cost necessary.
It completely overrides tactical common sense,
Yeah.
survival instinct almost.
It really speaks to the weight of their loss, how much Traxidor meant to them, but also the sheer strategic necessity of having a dedicated healer and divine caster in their group. Resurrecting Traxidor isn't just emotional for them, it's a critical strategic need. Hashtag begear allies and historical weight.
Okay, so the decision is made. They're going for it. And the Martikovs, seeing their determination, fully commit to helping.
Yep. Their alliance, defined by the secrecy and frankly the efficiency of the Brotherhood of the Feather, transitions instantly into providing crucial logistical support.
First things first, they need intel, right?
Yep.
What are they up against?
Oh, exactly. First order of business is intelligence gathering. Danica immediately starts coordinating, using the Brotherhood's network. They need to know the state of the town gates, their planned exit points.
And the news isn't good, I take it.
Sobering is the word used. All the town gates are heavily manned, each one secured with 2 or 3 guards and a warden. Lady Wacher's elite.
So no easy way out, no soft target, no forgotten back gate.
None. Their plan to just crash a gate is going to be met with immediate, probably overwhelming resistance. They know that going in.
So since they have to wait for the deepest cover of night anyway, they use the rest of the day to prepare.
Right. The Martikovs arrange for a cart to carry the body, a critical piece of equipment they'll need after they secure Traxidor's corpse. They plan to retrieve it later, but we really need to address Radley's personal preparation here.
Because he lost everything when he was captured, didn't he? Armor, weapons.
Everything. So Danica provides him with essential replacements. First, a suit of studded leather armor, crucial for an Eldritch Knight who needs mobility, but also protection. And a shield.
But this shield is special, isn't it?
It is. It bears a specific raven crest. Danica explains that this symbol, this heraldry, is a mark of alliance. It identifies the bearer to the Brotherhood of the Feather.
Ah, so it's more than just defense.
It's a subtle but potentially powerful narrative device. In a town where they are fugitives, hunted by the authorities, this shield could instantly identify Radley as an ally to anyone secretly working with the Martikovs.
Like a secret handshake, but on a shield.
Exactly. It's a tool for social navigation, for signaling loyalty, disguised as ordinary military gear. Very clever.
Danica also offers him a weapon, right? A short sword.
She does. But this leads to a really cool character moment that highlights Radley's unique abilities as an Eldritch Knight. He actually declines the mundane weapon. He just thrusts out his empty hand and his own longsword, his favorite weapon, the one he lost. It just appears in his grip, materializes out of thin air.
Whoa. Okay, that's useful.
It's a signature ability. The bond an Eldritch Knight has with their chosen weapon is so deep it actually transcends physical separation. The Burgomistress's wardens could strip him of his armor, his pack, everything.
But they couldn't break that metaphysical bond with his sword.
Exactly. It's a nice moment of subtle empowerment for him, especially after the complete humiliation of being captured and masked.
Meanwhile, Urihorn, the Beastmaster, he also contributes something important tactically, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Reminds them about his healing.
Yes, that's a crucial piece of information they might have forgotten in the chaos. He reminds Daermon specifically that he can cast healing magic. It might be a lesser-used ability for a ranger, a martial character.
But with Traxidor gone, their main healer?
It's suddenly vital. Any healing is vital. And he backs this up by transferring a very specific, very valuable resource.
The potion.
The potion of greater healing that was given to him earlier by the monster hunter, Rudolf van Richten. He passes it to Daermon for safekeeping.
That feels like planning for the worst. Explicitly.
It is. They're acknowledging that this is going to be violent. Someone will get hurt, probably badly. They need immediate, powerful healing on hand, and they have to rely on these limited resources that aren't easily replaceable.
And before they actually head out, there's a moment of reflection about the location itself.
Yeah, specifically about the setting for the upcoming action. Radley, maybe thinking about the risks, reflects on the really dark history of the execution square where Traxidor now hangs. Or near it, anyway.
Right, this isn't just some random spot.
No, it's become a focal point for Vallaki's recent brutal history. Radley recalls the execution that happened just 8 days before this.
Their elf companion?
The apparition of their elf companion, Valen'eir, appearing there, followed by Valen'eir's actual beheading the very next day, right in that main square.
Jeez.
And then, just days after that, the public hanging of the former Baron, Valen'eir Vallakovich, in the same area.
So it's just steeped in violence, a lineage of public death.
Exactly. The recurring use of this specific area, even though Traxidor is hung in the smaller square just opposite the main grounds, It confirms this place as a monument to oppression, to bloody, rapid political change. It's cursed ground, basically.
And that leads Daermon to wonder, why the smaller square?
Right, that's his initial puzzle. If the goal is maximum public terror and display, why not use the main, most visible square? It feels slightly off.
Suggests maybe the new burgomistress, Lady Wachter, might have a specific tactical reason for that placement.
A reason we are about to find out is far, far more sinister than just simple public display or convenience.
Okay, so night falls, deep night, the party moves out.
Yep. The corpse is where they expected, displayed in that small square, illuminated only faintly by the moon, hoisted up off the ground by the noose. Grim scene.
And guards.
4 sentries stationed around the body, observing the strict curfew, probably bored, cold, not expecting anything.
Perfect targets for a bit of misdirection, then.
Exactly. Daermon, the master of deception, immediately comes up with the plan. Exploit that boredom, that complacency. The core gambit is simple. Use deception to create an opening for a swift, overwhelming blitz.
How do they do it?
Daermon and Radley will pretend to be drunk. They'll just stumble across the square, making a bit of noise, hoping to catch the guards off balance.
Betting on the guards' arrogance. That they'll just see a couple of drunken locals breaking curfew.
Precisely. Assume they're just useless townspeople, easy pickings, not highly skilled, utterly desperate fugitives on a mission.
In Urihorn.
Urihorn and his panther companion take up the critical supporting role. They get into position on the nearby rooftops to provide ranged cover with his bow.
So the plan relies on, stealth to get into position?
And then absolute brutal efficiency once the fight starts, no hesitation.
Okay, so Daermon and Radley put the plan into action. They stagger out, maybe slurring insults, making just enough noise.
And it works. The guards, probably delighted at the break in monotony, shout at them, start moving in. They anticipate an easy arrest, maybe roughing them up a bit, confiscating valuables, #text#B, the swift and brutal fight.
But they're very, very wrong.
Oh, yeah. The tactical success hinges entirely on that first blow, hitting hard and fast. And Daermon delivers it with shocking, lethal precision.
How so?
The first guard basically never even registers the threat. Daermon moves in close, maybe looking pathetic, then executes him instantly. A clean, lethal strike. The source says blade up through the belly and into the heart. Just done.
Wow. Cold efficiency. That immediately eliminates one threat and the possibility of him raising an alarm, right?
He then signals to the other guards and to Radley that this is not a brawl, this is an assassination. Radley immediately coordinates, bringing his summoned longsword up against a second guard, instantly putting him on the defensive.
And Urihorn from the roof.
Arrows start raining down. The coordinated assault is just overwhelming. The remaining 2 guards realize in a split second that they are facing something way beyond drunk townsfolk. They panic.
They try to run.
Break and flee in separate directions, desperate to get away, raise the alarm.
And here we see just how high the stakes are, how much pressure the adventurers are under, because they don't let them go.
No mercy shown. They absolutely cannot afford witnesses. Silence is their only chance of getting that body out of Vallaki unseen.
So how do they stop the runners?
Urihorn takes care of one with his bow, another clean kill from range, impressive shooting in the dark, and Radley demonstrates the full, brutal power of the Eldritch Knight.
Fire magic.
He unleashes a powerful firebolt spell at the final fleeing guard. The source describes the guard just erupting in flames, staggering frantically for a few steps before collapsing into, essentially, ash and embers.
Okay, that's spectacular violence.
Yeah.
But effective.
Extremely effective. It clears the square instantly. In maybe less than a minute, they've eliminated 4 trained guards. They have, yes, committed murder multiple times over in the streets of Vallaki.
But they've secured their immediate objective. The square is clear.
Right. They turn toward Traxidor's corpse, finally. Believing the hardest part, the tactical fight with the mortal guards, is over. They just need to cut him down and get to the cart.
But it's never that simple in Barovia, is it?
Never. Just as they approach the corpse, ready to cut the rope, that moment of grim triumph just dissolves into profound dread.
What happens?
They hear laughter. Cruel, booming laughter. But it's not normal. It's not the sound of a human woman laughing nearby. It's unnaturally amplified, echoing across the otherwise silent square. Chilling.
And they see her.
They turn, and standing just feet away, seemingly alone, is the burgomistress herself, Lady Wachter.
Standing there, after they just killed 4 of her guards.
Apparently. And she immediately launches into this contemptuous taunt, calling them inept fools, claiming their retrieval attempt was laughably predictable. Her voice still has that weird, amplified quality. ringing with this cruel confidence that is deeply unnerving.
Okay, something's very wrong here.
Daermon recognizes the immediate danger, the sheer wrongness of it. He rushes at her, sword ready for a sweeping strike. Urihorn, maybe thinking faster or just reacting, looses arrows at her from the rooftop.
No.
Both attacks pass straight through her, harmlessly, like she's smoke.
An illusion.
And this is where Daermon's arcane trickster senses, his understanding of basic magic, pays off. He instantly realizes the figure is an illusion, a magical projection.
Okay.
But he also realizes the incredibly sinister implication that comes with it. The real burgomistress must be nearby, close enough to control the spell, watch them, mock them.
From a position of absolute, untraceable safety.
Exactly. It's pure psychological warfare, taunting them while being completely untouchable.
So this tells us two huge things. One, Wachter knew they were coming. This was maybe even a trap.
Seems likely, doesn't it? And two, she has sufficient magical prowess to project a convincing illusion and keep herself hidden. The illusion isn't a distraction from her location.
It's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder for what she is about to unleash. #TechTagB, the summoning of the Nine Hells.
And this is the moment, the pivot point you mentioned earlier.
This is it. The moment the campaign shifts gears entirely, immediately after the illusion taunts them, maybe even while it's still speaking, Daermon observes these weird disturbances in the air around where the illusion stood.
Disturbances? Like what?
Not smoke, not magical energy flares. The source describes them vividly as like the rippling of water, like looking through heat haze, but more substantial. Disturbances indicating something is pushing through a barrier between planes.
Oh, no.
And from these rippling points, creatures begin to emerge. This is the moment the threat level just skyrockets past Vallaki town guards, past wolves and zombies, past anything they've likely faced before.
Okay, describe these creatures. What comes out first?
First, we see these smaller things, halfling-sized maybe, flapping on leathery bat-like wings, and they're emitting this terrible, high-pitched wailing screech.
Nasty. What are they?
The source explicitly identifies them as spiny devils. Lesser devils, sure, but devils nonetheless. Terrible, but clearly subordinate to what comes next.
Because there's something else.
Oh, yeah. The true horror steps through the main portal, the biggest ripple, right where Wachter's illusion had just been standing and laughing. It is a man-sized creature. The barbed devil.
Okay, we need details. What does this thing look like?
It's a creature that just screams violence and malice. It has this thick, prehensile tail whipping behind it. And wicked, sharp barbs protrude aggressively from its head, its back, its arms, its legs, everywhere.
Sounds painful just to look at.
Its eyes are described as jaundiced, yellow, burning with this low, malevolent inner light. And it doesn't roar. It makes this low, harsh, croaking sound, like rocks grinding together. But the sensory detail that absolutely cements its infernal origin, beyond just the look of it, is the atmosphere it brings with it. The smell.
So
It doesn't just look evil, it feels evil and it smells evil. It emanates this foul miasma that spreads instantly across the square. The smell is described as a supernatural stench of pestilence, decay, sickness,
heavily tinged with.
brimstone, sulfur. You can smell the nine hells right there in that town square.
Okay, that detail is everything, isn't it? Brimstone, the classic sign.
It's the quintessential sign of infernal origin. That sulfur stench confirms, beyond any shadow of a doubt, these are not weird magical beasts or undead. They are fiends, actual devils from the Nine Hells.
Which leads to the definitive, terrifying revelation that the source material drops right here.
Yep. These creatures are summoned devils, and Lady Wachter isn't just a power-hungry tyrant using guards and politics.
She's a cleric of Asmodeus.
A cleric of Asmodeus, Lord of the Nine Hells. This means she is actively, knowingly leveraging the power of an archdevil to enforce her political will right here in Vallaki.
That completely reframes the entire power structure of the town, maybe the whole domain. This isn't just a political coup she pulled off.
It's backed by a contract with literal hell. Wachter has essentially installed infernal creatures as her private law enforcement in the middle of this otherwise mundane, albeit oppressed, town.
It's a frightening display of how deep the corruption can run in a place like Barovia. And her laughter.
Her contemptuous amplified laughter apparently resumes as the devils immediately square up, ready to attack the adventurers. The trap is sprung. #TagC, the chaos and desperate retreat.
So how does the fight go? Or does it?
The devils waste absolutely zero time. The barbed devil, clearly the main threat, immediately conjures this devastating sphere of hellfire. It slams into Daermon, scorching him badly. He leaps away, already seriously wounded.
Ouch. And the little ones, the spiny devils.
They swarm into the air, loosing these clouds of small, red-hot darts from their tails. They target both Daermon and Radley. It's immediate, overwhelming offense.
Radley tries to fight back with his fire magic.
In a panic, yeah. He tries to counter the threat with his go-to magic, his firebolt. He manages to hit one of the flying, spiny devils, but the result is instantaneous and just devastating to their morale.
What happens?
He realizes instantly his fire magic is useless, worse than useless. These creatures are natives of the Nine Hells, a burning hellscape.
Right, fire doesn't bother them much.
They probably just laugh it off, metaphorically speaking. His simple fire spell does next to nothing. This is a critical tactical failure, born of panic and instinct. Radley has just confirmed his primary ranged attack option is utterly ineffective against this new, terrifying enemy.
Okay, so they're facing overwhelming new threats. Daermon's badly hurt. Radley's main magic is useless. This isn't a fight they can win.
Not even close. The realization hits them hard and fast. The combination of the new threat level and the immediate ineffectiveness of their magic forces, an instantaneous shift. Forget fighting. It's time to run. Flight over fight.
Urihorn sees this chaos unfolding.
Yeah, Urihorn, maybe having stayed back a bit or just reacting quicker, guides his panther down from the rooftops. He doesn't charge in. He starts to flee along a side street, firing arrows back at a pursuing spiny devil even as the panther sprints away. Tactical retreat.
But Radley, he's still got the mission objective in mind.
Radley remains focused, even in the chaos. He knows this is it, their only chance to get the body. He ignores the devils for a second, rushes to the post where Traxidor hangs,
Cuts the rope.
uses his sword, cleaves the rope. The cleric's corpse drops heavily to the ground. He doesn't hesitate. He throws the body, which must be awkward, heavy, stiff, horrible, over his shoulder, and just runs for his life, following Urihorn.
And the pursuit is immediate, I assume.
Immediate and horrifying. This is where the narrative really drills down into the grimness and the emotional stakes. The spiny devils loose more of those red-hot darts.
At Radley.
They miss hitting Radley directly, but the barbs stick into the flesh of the corpse he's carrying.
Oh, God. That's vile.
It's a deeply morbid detail, isn't it? The desecration of Traxidor's body, even as they're trying to save it. Pure psychological terror from the devils.
And the big one. The barbed devil.
Relentless. Hits Radley again with another ball of hellfire, compounding his injuries. He's staggering, but still running. The chase is just this desperate, chaotic flight down the dark streets, focused entirely on keeping hold of the body and staying alive.
Urihorn's still providing cover fire, though.
He is. The steady hand, even in retreat. He manages to hit one of the pursuing spiny devils with an arrow, and this time it works. It erupts spectacularly in embers and just falls to the street, leaving nothing but ash behind.
Okay, so they can be killed, just not easily and not with fire.
Exactly. Physical force works. That's crucial information, maybe for later.
Right.
He then catches up to Daermon, who is already putting their emergency plan into action.
The potion.
Daermon is literally pouring the potion of greater healing, the precious one from Van Richten, down the wounded Radley's throat as they run.
Followed up by Urihorn's own magic.
Urihorn immediately casts Cure Wounds on Radley, apparently while riding alongside him on the panther. Impressive coordination under fire.
That teamwork is flawless, though. Focused entirely on keeping Radley the guy carrying the objective mobile and alive. Trading resources using those less conventional healing powers.
Absolutely. They're burning through precious resources, but it's keeping them going. But the session, the source material here, ends on this note of deep, chilling uncertainty.
They're heading for the Blue Water Inn, right? Their refuge.
They are. Their only known safe haven. The location of their allies, the Martikovs. But the terrible realization is sinking in even as they run.
The devils saw them. They know where they're going.
The devils, and by extension Lady Wachter, almost certainly know their destination, so just reaching the inn, well, it's unlikely to provide true, lasting refuge anymore.
Oh, man.
The infernal pursuit means their safe harbor, the Blue Water Inn, has just become the likely next target. They might be leading hell right to the Martikov's doorstep.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive, this session 19, it's provided several critical pieces of knowledge that just fundamentally change the outlook for the adventurers. And frankly, maybe change our understanding of the nature of this entire domain.
Absolutely. I mean, the key piece of information, the bombshell, is confirming Lady Watcher's true nature.
Right.
She is not just some ambitious political rival using mortal thugs and spies. She is a cleric of Asmodeus, actively, openly utilizing summoned devils from the Nine Hells as her private enforcement.
That's a terrifying escalation. It means every action she takes now could potentially be backed by infernal power.
Exactly. And on the flip side, on the side of their allies, the Brotherhood of the Feather, led by the Martikovs, they've proven to be an absolutely essential lifeline.
Providing shelter, critical intelligence, gear.
Yeah, like Radley's raven-crested shield, which isn't just armor now, it's this beacon of their alliance, a potential way to find other hidden friends.
And we also saw the vital, maybe sometimes overlooks, utility of each adventurer when pushed to the absolute limit.
For sure. Daermon's lethal precision and his lock-picking getting them out of that initial jam. Radley's unique bond with his weapons saving him from being completely disarmed by the guards.
And Urihorn, his overlooked healing capacity, his ranged combat effectiveness, proving absolutely essential during that chaotic escape.
They needed every single skill they had. And the confrontation itself, it just completely transformed the narrative, didn't it? From what seemed like a manageable, if risky, stealth heist against mortal guards.
Into a desperate, fiery flight from organized infernal forces. Actual devils. The stakes are now cosmic. They've literally put themselves in the crosshairs of the Nine Hells, or at least an agent thereof.
So thinking about the bigger picture here, this revelation, it raises a really important, deeply troubling question for you, the listener, to ponder.
Okay.
If the Burgomistress of Vallaki, a relatively significant tone, is openly using summoned devils as her private police force, what does that imply about the true power structure of this entire domain they're trapped in?
Is this just her local operation, or is this kind of infernal dealing happening elsewhere? Is Asmodeus' influence more widespread?
We don't know. And maybe even more immediately worrying, given that the devils almost certainly know the Martikovs Inn is their destination. Can the Blue Water Inn, the place that symbolized their last best hope, their only refuge, can it ever truly be considered safe again?
That is a truly chilling thought. It leaves the Martikovs, the very people who just gave them refuge and aid, in an immediate, potentially lethal infernal peril just for helping them.
Yeah, the consequences ripple outwards.
Okay, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the heart of Vallaki's escalating and now infernal darkness. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back. Today we're looking at some really intense session notes. It's the aftermath of a failed execution rescue in Vallaki. The party's trying to get their companion Traxidor's body back, and they end up fighting devils summoned by Lady Wachter. It's quite the scene.
Yeah, high drama. Lots happening. So where should we start?
Okay, let's jump right into the first point, focusing on the emotional core. As I read it, the drive to get Traxidor's body feels very strategic. Like it's mostly about getting him to the abbot for resurrection.
Exactly. And, while that's logical for the plot, it feels like we might be skipping a beat. Does rushing to the fix, the resurrection, undercut the sheer weight of their failure, the actual loss?
That's the heart of it. So, critique 1. While the urgency of the situation, retrieving Traxidor's body to be resurrected by the abbot, is clear, pausing to deepen the emotional investment of the characters could significantly elevate the stakes of the mission.
Right. The weakness here is how fast it moves from shock to solution. Dannika says, Traxidor's dead. Boom. And almost the next breath is, well, the notes say Daermon and Radley are pondering if the abbot can raise him.
It's efficient. Maybe too efficient.
Yeah, it kind of short-circuits the grief, doesn't it? The hope of resurrection pops up so fast it drains that immediate, raw feeling of failure. It makes the retrieval feel a bit transactional, like an objective marker, rather than this desperate act of loyalty.
And we definitely don't want that. This is a huge moment. So the suggestion is to really lean into that downtime at the Blue Water Inn. They're safe for a moment, but they're broken. Use that space to show us the psychological fallout.
Absolutely. Show, don't just tell. They pondered. Let's see that internal struggle. Make them grapple with the cost. Is this even possible? We just failed spectacularly trying to save him.
Maybe show Radley specifically. Daermon just risked everything to free him. Does Radley feel guilty? Or is he just fiercely determined now? Let's see that before they ask Dannika to scout. That pause makes the later risks feel earned.
That emotional grounding changes everything. It turns it from logistics into, sheer desperation.
And we can layer that. What about emphasizing where the body is hung? In that smaller square. Daermon's puzzled by the location, right? That's a perfect hook.
Oh, yeah. A chance to reflect. Maybe connect it to other losses in Vallaki, Valen'eir, Vargas.
Exactly. Tie it into the town's whole awful cycle of violence. Suddenly, Getting Traxidor back isn't just about him. It's about defying Vallaki itself, defying the despair. That really amps up their motivation.
Okay, I like that. It gives the mission much deeper roots. They're not just fetching a body, they're fighting back against the town's very soul.
So, moving from the why to the how. Let's talk about pacing and structure. The notes cover their escape after the failed rescue, and then the setup for getting the body back at night. But the focus feels uneven.
Interesting. Yeah, I see that. It feels like some parts get lingered on, while other high-tension moments are maybe rushed through. So, point 2, the opening sequence in the dilapidated cellar contains details that detract from the overall pacing, while later, high-tension sequences that follow the escape from the inn are rushed, diminishing the sense of danger.
Right. The weakness is where the narrative camera focuses. Right after the chaos at the gallows, they're hiding. The tension should be sky high. But then we get quite a bit of detail about Urihorn searching old furniture, moldering books, finding nothing.
Yeah, and the lockpicking on Radley's restraint, it's very granular.
Exactly. It feels like we're getting bogged down in inventory management when we should be feeling their fear, listening for footsteps outside. It just kind of slows down that frantic recovery beat.
Okay, so the suggestion? Cut back hard on that stuff?
Pretty much. Compress the non-essential descriptions. Focus instead on what they're feeling, the fear, the adrenaline crash, and definitely focus on the sounds outside, the threat.
And then, flip side, maybe expand the bits that are tense, like the actual sneaking around later.
Yes. Let's take that cellar search. Instead of listing dusty items, maybe it's just a quick nervous action, or cut it. But definitely amplify that moment when the search party rattles the door.
Ah, yeah. The bit where Radley covers the light spell?
That's it. That's pure tension. Focus on that specific, sharp action. It instantly reminds us they're trapped, hunted. That's way more effective than describing mold.
Okay, got it. Less inventory, more immediate danger. And then apply that detail when they actually leave the inn later?
Exactly. Day 15. Instead of just saying they pushed through debris Dannika piled up, describe it. What does it sound like? Scraping wood? Heavy breathing in the silence?
Make that escape feel difficult and risky. The sound of moving that bulkhead could echo, instantly setting the mood for the whole night operation. It underlines the curfew, the danger, before any devils show up.
That small bit of sensory detail totally changes the atmosphere. It's not just they left, it's they risked everything just to get out the door.
Okay, that makes sense. Sharpen the focus, basically. Good. So that brings us to the climax, right? The square, the devils, Lady Wachter.
Yeah, the big confrontation. This is peak desperation, and it's good, but I think we can push the horror aspect even further, make it truly unsettling.
Right. It's Barovia. It should be unsettling. But the notes seem to jump to the mechanics pretty fast, like resistances and immunities.
That's the potential issue. So critique 3. The final confrontation with Lady Wachter's summoned devils is excellent, but shifting the focus from the creature's mechanical immunities to the raw supernatural horror they inflict would maximize the dramatic impact of the climax.
Okay, so the weakness is that analytical jump. Devils appear, and bam, Daermon figures out the illusion, Radley tests his fire spell and notes it's ineffective.
Which is useful game info, sure, but in the narrative, it pulls us out of the sheer terror. It shifts from, what are those things, to, okay, fire resistance noted.
Yeah, it feels a bit like reading a stat block instead of experiencing the fight.
So the suggestion is, delay that analysis. Dwell on the sensory horror first. What does it feel like, sound like, even smell like to face these things, especially that barbed devil? Make the dread feel physical, alien.
Make it about the feeling of fighting something infernal, not just the tactics. How do we do that?
Well, concrete examples. The notes mention a foul miasma. Let's really expand on that. Make it oppressive. Does it sting their eyes, burn their lungs, make it hard to breathe, hard to concentrate? The air itself is hostile. Maybe Radley tries the fire spell, and while he's choking on brimstone, he realizes it did nothing. The environment reinforces the horror.
Okay. Yeah. Layer the sensory details onto the actions. I like that. And what about the body itself during the fight?
Ah, yes. That detail about Traxidor's corpse taking the hits, that's gold. Radley is spared their barbs as their spines miss him and stick into the flesh of the corpse he carries.
That's incredibly grim and powerful.
It's perfect for the tone. So, slow that moment down. Focus on the sound, that awful thud or squelch of spines hitting dead flesh. Focus on Radley's reaction, the horror, the grim realization his dead friend is literally shielding him.
Oh, man. Yeah, that makes it so much more desperate. It's not just carrying a body. It's carrying this macabre shield made of sacrifice.
Exactly. That image, combined with the stench, the struggle, that tells the story of what this retrieval cost them. It hammers home the horror and their desperate commitment.
Right. Okay. That really lands the climax in a much more visceral place.
So, wrapping up, we've hit 3 key areas. This is strong stuff already, but these tweaks could really push it over the top.
Agreed. So first point was about the emotional core, really digging into the grief before the solution. Don't rush past the impact of Traxidor's death. Use that downtime to show their resolve, their desperation. That justifies the risks they take.
Yep. Second, structure and pacing. Cut the clutter in low-tension moments, like the cellar inventory. Beef up the description and sensory details during high-tension transitions, like sneaking out of the inn. Make the act of moving feel dangerous.
And third, the climax. Lean into the sensory horror of the devils. Delay the mechanical analysis. Use the environment, the miasma, the sounds, and really maximize that incredibly dark, potent image of Traxidor's corpse acting as a shield. Make the reader feel the dread.
Absolutely. Focus on the feeling, the sounds, the smells, the sheer awfulness of it.
Implement those changes, deepen the emotion, sharpen the pacing, focus, amplify the sensory horror, and this already dramatic sequence will hit even harder. It'll make the retrieval feel incredibly earned and costly.
Exactly. We think these adjustments will really elevate the material. Feel free to work on these suggestions and definitely send it back our way when you're ready for another look.
Welcome to the debate. We're diving back into Vallaki today, looking at those really tense moments right after Lady Wachter seized control. Specifically, we're focused on that mission by Urihorn, Radley, and Daermon, when they tried to get Traxidor's body back. Now, Lady Wachter clearly expected them. She set quite the scene. So the big question for us, pulling directly from what happened that night, is really about her intent. Was this whole setup, choosing that specific spot, the taunting with the illusion, bringing in those devils, was it fundamentally a cold, calculated, tactical maneuver to wipe out these fugitives? Or was it primarily a performative act, a way to really hammer home her spiritual authority as a cleric of Asmodeus? My view? I lean towards the tactical objective being the main thing here.
See, I disagree with putting tactical first there. I think to really get Wachter's actions, you've got to look bigger picture, beyond just this one fight. Think about the display she created. Her whole rise to power was marked by public violence. Remember Valen'eir, remember the former Baron Vallakovich, both hanged publicly. This showdown with the fugitives, I believe, was staged. It was like a ritual to reinforce her dominance after all that turmoil. So I'm arguing that her actions were fundamentally driven by this need for a very public, very dramatic performance of her fiendish authority. Sure, getting rid of the adventurers was probably something she wanted, but I think it was secondary to just making this grand statement about her power, her role as the spiritual fist of the new Vallaki.
Okay, I understand the context, the political backdrop. But for me, the evidence for careful, clinical preparation is just, it's undeniable.
Lady Wachter didn't just luck into this. The text explicitly says she was ready for it, even called their attempt laughably predictable. Now, that doesn't sound like someone just setting up a stage play, does it? That's the language of a planner, someone setting an ambush. And if your main goal is elimination, then efficiency, controlling the terrain, those are crucial. Think about it. The fugitives had tangled with guards before in the main town square, right? Very public, very political space. But Wachter specifically put Traxidor's body in this small square, which is opposite the execution site. That feels like a very deliberate tactical move. It diverts them to ground she controls, ground optimized for an ambush, keeps them away from, potential crowds or wider guard involvement. And then look at how she ambushed them, immediately summoning devils, a barbed devil, spiny devils. That's overwhelming force, lethal force. It screams elimination, finality, not just trying to scare them off. But isn't the nature of that force the very thing that points to performance? You call it lethal, efficient. And okay, it is lethal, but it's explicitly fiendish. Lady Wachter is a cleric of Asmodeus, right? And when that barbed devil showed up, it wasn't just some monster. It brought, and I quote, the supernatural stench of pestilence tinged with brimstone. That's not just hiring some effective muscle, that's a direct manifestation of the 9 hells. She's publicly cementing her connection, her allegiance. She's basically telling everyone, defy me and you're defying Asmodeus himself. That takes fear beyond just, getting arrested. It makes it about eternal damnation. And that requires spectacle. The whole thing starts with spectacle, doesn't it? The illusion, the voice unnaturally amplified, echoing everywhere, her contemptuously berating them as inept fools. That's pure theater, pure psychological warfare. It reinforces the idea that she doesn't just control the guards, she controls reality itself. The location, the corpse, it's all part of this grand public story she's telling.
Okay, let's push on the tactical staging a bit more, because I think that's where the performance idea starts to fray. If her main goal was performative, making a big symbolic impact for the whole town, why not use the main stage? The town square, that's the center of power, where the other hangings happened. Why confuse your targets by putting the body somewhere secondary? And why do it at night, during curfew? That minimizes the audience, doesn't it? If the show is the main weapon, she ditched most of her audience.
I'm not sure she did ditch her audience. Maybe the audience wasn't meant to be the whole town peering out their windows. Maybe the primary audience was the fugitives themselves, and through them, any other hidden rebels. The strangeness of the small square location could actually serve the performative goal. It shows her power isn't just tied to the official spots like the gallows. It's everywhere. Death can find you anywhere she wants it to. And, the small square with streets converging, it might offer a more dramatic visual frame for that single hanging body. A symbol of death that feels more pervasive, maybe, because it's outside the usual political stage. If it were just a straightforward trap, wouldn't the setup have been clearer, more direct, less room for confusion?
See, I think you're maybe overthinking the symbolism there. That ambiguity, that confusion, that is the tactical advantage. It isolates the target, it minimizes Wachter's own risk. The small square was an efficient kill zone, perfect for a quick, devastating hit. Remember, the adventurers were already sneaking around after curfew. Drawing them somewhere secondary, somewhere less obviously guarded, meant they wouldn't attract attention until it was too late. And the fact that the initial guards, those 4 sentries, were, quote, easily overcome by the drunken ruse, that's a key tactical element. Wachter probably expected them to get past the first line, making them feel secure right before the real trap sprung. Putting this in the main square, that would have needed a lot more visible security, potentially tipping them off or just causing a bigger mess. The small square delivered high lethality with low initial setup, letting the devils pop in right on top of them, aimed at elimination.
Okay, but if efficiency was truly the name of the game, why bother with the illusion at all? If the plan is just devils appear, kill everyone, the illusion seems like, an unnecessary flourish, doesn't it? A waste of time and maybe magical resources.
I don't think it was a waste. I think it was a primer. A psychological trigger perfectly timed for deploying the main weapons. The illusion, it only lasted a moment, right? Just long enough to stun them, misdirect them. Think about how it played out. The booming voice taunts, Daermon charges in thinking he's hitting Wachter, and poof, nothing. That split second of shock, of realizing it's fake, that's the window. That's the time bod for the rippling portals to open up. Those creatures, the devils, they needed a moment to materialize, right? The illusion was essentially covering fire.
It occupied the adventurer's attention just long enough for the real threat to deploy without being immediately targeted while they were forming.
I'd frame that differently. I think the psychological impact was the main point. The illusion set the stage, sure, but the taunting, the voice, booming with cruel laughter, that continued even after the visual trick failed, right as the portals opened. Wachter wasn't just creating tactical cover.
She was rubbing their noses in it, asserting her total dominance, her superior knowledge, right up to the moment of violence. She wanted them to feel humiliated, manipulated, utterly scorned by this distant cleric pulling the strings. The spectacle wasn't just cover for the portals. It was designed to break them mentally before the physical attack even started. The spectacle was a weapon, and the devils were just the enforcement mechanism for that message. Okay, well, if we're assessing the trap, whether it's performative or tactical, we have to look at the outcome, right? If this was this brilliant tactical trap designed purely to eliminate the fugitives, why did they actually manage to get Traxidor's body back? Radley cuts the rope, grabs the corpse, and they manage to retreat. He even uses the body as a shield against the spiny devils, using the very symbol of Wachter's supposed victory against her forces. Doesn't retrieving the body suggest the trap wasn't, tactically speaking, completely successful?
I don't think retrieving the body means it was a tactical failure. I'd argue elimination was prioritized over keeping the corpse. And while, yeah, they got away with the body, the trap was still incredibly successful in its broader tactical aims. The Barb Devil immediately went after Daermon and Radley with Hellfire, causing massive damage. The devils didn't just give up, they chased them relentlessly.
And this is the key part. They drove them towards a compromised location. They forced them back towards the Blue Water Inn, which was supposed to be their safe house.
Exactly.
And forcing their hand like that had huge tactical ripple effects. Urihorn had to burn through critical limited resources, not just his own healing spells, but that potion of greater healing from Van Richten. That confirms the trap inflicted serious intended damage. It was designed to leave them crippled, vulnerable. So yes, they escaped, technically, but they were forced to reveal their safe house, use up their best healing, and basically run for their lives. That sounds like a strategic win to me, even if they managed to carry the corpse out. The operation achieved threat neutralization by making them wounded, exposed, and ineffective, at least for the moment. But what enabled that neutralization? It was the display of power. Yes, the damage was tactically useful, but I still think it was secondary to the statement Wachter was making. She used a public, ritualistic form of violence, the hanging, as the bait. She chose summoned fiends when she could have just used more town guards. Why? Because devils aren't just fighters, they are living proof of her unholy power, shown off publicly to reinforce the message, challenge me, you challenge hell itself. The success wasn't measured by whether they kept the corpse, but whether the living were utterly crushed in spirit, forced to flee in terror from this manifestation of her dark magic. Look, the new regime needs control. Control demands stamping out dissent. The fact that she ambushed them precisely when they were most vulnerable, at night, focused on getting a body, not fighting, that shows cold calculation. It was about hitting a known threat group hard when they least expected that level of force. The brimstone, the booming voice, that was just window dressing, adding fear factor to an operation that was fundamentally about efficient elimination.
And yet that same window dressing works perfectly to solidify her political grip on Vallaki. After the chaos of the recent hangings, she needed a powerful, undeniable show of force. This encounter tells any would-be rebels that fighting back isn't just risky, it's cosmically stupid. Using her cleric powers to summon devils in the town square or near it, that's political theater designed to establish a terrifying new status quo. The tactical result was achieved through the ritualistic summoning. So, to wrap up my position, while Lady Wachter definitely used spectacle, I believe the primary goal here was operational. Neutralize the known, immediate threat these fugitives represented. The fact that she anticipated their move, used diversionary tactics with the location, and deployed overwhelming, targeted lethal force, it all points to a sophisticated tactical operation aimed squarely at elimination, even if it was dressed up in fiendish theatrics. And I'll stand by the idea that the whole confrontation was fundamentally framed by these displays of immense spiritual, almost ritualistic authority. The careful choice of where to hang the body, the over-the-top taunting, summoning actual devils as proof of her power as an Asmodean cleric. For me, all of this points to the overarching purpose being performative, control. She was stamping her spiritual dominance onto Vallaki. Defeating the adventurers tactically was certainly a bonus, maybe even expected, but it served that larger performance.
It really seems the specific details we have, the confusion over the location, the exact timing of that illusion, the hellfire, they show this complex mix, don't they? The very real security needs of a new, shaky regime tangled up with the leader's deep spiritual commitments. It feels like Wachter understood that in a place like Vallaki, sometimes the smartest tactical move requires the biggest, scariest show.
A show which, importantly, also broadcasts the source of her power. So we're left asking, does she rule through Hell's military might? Or does the military action just serve to confirm the power of the dark god she represents? Definitely more to unpack there and how she manages to blend those two things.